Well, folks, here we are. Max Whitehead and Vaughan Winiata once again, and we got Andrew Bayley back again. Thank you, Andrew. Thank you so much. The last recording was so well received that people are asking, we want to hear more about this package. I can't believe that you're actually going to provide us with more than you actually have already. So, Father Christmas, here we come. So, tonight, I believe you've got something for us. You're going to talk about support for specific industries. You're going to get the plan to get us out of COVID and put that back on pathway to normality, which I assume is saying opening them borders and we go and look, we can fly around the world, go on holiday, put our feet up and enjoy life. So over to you, Andrew. And Vaughan, you got a word? No, Vaughan won't have a word, would he?
Look, that goes without saying. Look, I'm really keen to hear about, obviously, hospitality and tourism have been smashed for the last 20 odd months. And, every small business owner you speak to trying to get people. So how do we get, some quality skilled labor back out there into the workforce? So, yeah, more than interested. I mean, we've talked about it already. It's 33 pages of good stuff. It's too much to digest in one sitting. So, we've moved off the entree and now we're going into the main course before we get to the dessert. So we'll give it to you, Santa Claus.
Hey, thank you. And thank you. It's great coming from you. Hey, so the area that we are worried about and why we target certain areas, and the biggest and most evident one is the tourism, accommodation, retail sector, and also the event sector. So with that, we're proposing that everyone gets issued up to $100 worth of vouchers and be cut into various portions. It modelled on the New South Wales scheme, and we want the people to go out and spend that money and hopefully spend it locally, not on KFC, but we'll make sure that it's in a way that it's been spent appropriately because we just need to
Andrew, can I just jump in there, mate? Is that everybody who's vaccinated gets the voucher?
Yeah, double vaccinated.
Everybody who's double jabbed, right?
Yeah, double jabbed. And spend it any way you want, and basically just help our local businesses that are so in much difficulty at the moment. So that's the first one. The second thing, particularly for the restaurant trade who have been hemorrhaging with the spacing requirements, what we're proposing until we get to open borders, and I'll talk about that in a sec, we're going to clear the pathway through council rules and say where you have a coffee shop or whatever, you should be able to extend out onto the pathway. Obviously not in a way that endangers people, but we've got big pathway areas that means you can get more customers, all that sort of stuff, so that businesses can start to operate, the cafe shops, etc. The other one is the events sector, which has just been hemorrhaging. And for 18 months, they've been knocking on Grant Robertson and Stuart Nash's door and getting rebuffed. And all they ask for is for the government to write out the front end of premium check for about, we've estimated $5 million. I've actually spoken to the broker to underwrite an events insurance scheme. And the reason why the government needs to do it is that then they can go away and get the cover out of Lloyd's in London. And then when an event organizer wants to access that insurance premium or cover, they just pay the premium to the government. So 5 million, it will be self-funding over a period of time. So it's absolute no-brainer. And it's just inconceivable why the government's being deaf to that. Then there's things for particularly our farmers and horticulturists. We're proposing to increase the RSC requirement because basically there's very few people now here under working holiday visas, and we just think we need to increase the number, not by a lot. It's about another 5,000. And then I think that it sort of leads into how we help other sectors. We've got these huge sectors like the education and all those sort of things. And this comes back to how do we get back to normality? And we've just been very clear. We're saying when we get to 85 to 90% fully vaccinated in New Zealand or 1 December, then we should stop talking about lockdowns and stop implementing them unless they're absolutely the last resort.
Here.
And this closing all of Auckland down is just ridiculous. It should be localised. And when we get to that point, and what we're challenging the government, if you know you've got 1 December, just like you do in business, if you've got a sales target, work backwards and work out how we're going to get New Zealand to that point, because we've got to get out of these damaging lockdowns. And what we're saying, even at a slightly lower rate, we're suggesting get rid of regional borders. It's a thing of the past. Truck drivers should be able to do, and they can do daily testing. They can text the results back to their head office. They're driving around the country, better than waiting for a week to do a test and then waiting another day to get the results.
Yeah, it's too much, isn't it? It's ridiculous.
And government should be supplying it to our small businesses. So 85 to 95 to 90%. Open up New Zealand. Open up us to the world. We'll be one of the highest vaccinated countries in the world. They will allow us through, and just allow it to happen.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And the biggie about that is that you put a date and a time and a target. And I think if there's one thing about a small business community, you give them the target and they'll do their best to knock it out of the ballpark. At the moment, it's a button maybe, and nobody likes that sort of uncertainty. And so that's a really key point about, if you get there, this is what we give you. And boy, do we need it. So
yeah, and I echo that. I mean, a definitive date is a good one. I do agree with Vaughan there, and I think that's really more healthy than a percentage, because I don't think we're going to get. I'm a bit pessimistic about the numbers that are going to be who are anti-vax and going to fight it, but this will help.
One of the things, thinking needs to change. The government needs to learn to trust businesses. And I'll tell you what, if businesses think that they're unsafe, they will talk to the employees. They can require customers to be vaccinated. Actually, most business owners are very, very responsible people. And if you supply them with the tools and the technology, they'll get us there quicker than anyone. But at the moment, everything's run out of Wellington because everything's got to be done by government. That's just the wrong approach.
Agreed.
Trust business owners to do the right thing. They will do it. And actually, we'll get to the target a lot faster. And that's part of what we're talking about making happen.
There you go. I love that. In terms of final words, trust businesses to make their decisions. I think that's really an underlining point that we should go a takeaway line. Vaughan, I know you like them, so what have you got to say?
No, I just think we should leave it on that. That trust is the operative word here. I think if we go to the business community and trust them to play their part, because the fact of the matter is our economic recovery is going to require trust, so that is the unleashing and the trigger that gets things going. So I see it there. It says one of your 8 principles to guide the response. I think it's number 4 down there. It's the first among equals in my book. So, well done.
All right, well, thanks, guys. And look, Andrew, we're going to have to get you back sort of to touch on more of information like this. This is fantastic. You've got to say that you've made Vaughan and I's smile, and we do think you're Father Christmas, but the reality is that you're not in government
we'll call
yet.
It Thanksgiving.
You're not in government yet, but that's something we're going to remember at election time, and that's giving us some hope. Thank you very much.
Hopefully my hair hasn't gone white before we get back into power.
Nor you're going to grow a beard before that happens either. It'll be the next few weeks, months, well, 24 at least.
Well, I've just chopped it off because I had to come down from Auckland to Wellington, so I have finally had a haircut after 2 months.
Lucky you. Yeah. All right, well, I'll just tie my bun back some more then.
And Max, I will finish with the last word because I know he'll be sitting out there waiting to see this. But, it's not very often that someone in the small business community rings in and raves about a politician. But when Bede Ashby rang me this morning and said, man, that Andrew Bayley, he's really, got a real a winner there. And so well done, bro. It's like you don't hear that very often. Bank it while you've got it.
Thanks, Andrew.
Hey, thank you.
Cheers, Vaughan. See you soon. Ciao.
Okay.
Bye.